Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. I promise y'all, it truly does mean the world to me. But with that being said, what are we talking about? We're talking about Hedera in this one, okay? And a little bit of Quant, always Quant. Quant is king, okay, you guys? But Hedera, listen, y'all, the real world use cases that are being built out on top of Hedera, it's time to tune in and really see the writings on the wall, okay, you guys? In this very first video, it is coming from the World Health Organization. Now, this wasn't even something that was loudly broadcasted all over the world. This was just, it seems to be just organic adoption of Hashgraph and Hedera's technology. It spans across 140 different countries. Okay, really follow me on this and what Hedera has going on with these real world use cases being built out by some of the largest entities in the world utilizing their utility token HBAR. Okay, you guys, knowing about these gems, these are true distributed ledger technology companies that will power the distributed ledger technology sector of the economy. I'm not just saying these things, okay, you guys? But we hopping into this very first video. Coming from my boy Brandon, the HBARBULL. Bro, you rock. And what Hedera has going on in so many different facets is mind-blowing. Here we go. I'll be right back.
Comes from an Asian pharmaceutical magazine, but all indications are that this is fully legit. In one of the stories, section 5 was entitled, "How does the digital twin framework align with the World Health Organization's pandemic-ready manufacturing blueprint, and what gaps does it fill in current global preparedness strategies?" So because there's a lot of jargon understandably in this one, I'm going to try to pare it down to the part that we need to be focused on. It says the framework's dynamic QBD module integrates live genomic surveillance from GISAID and automatically updates LNP design when emerging variants exceed 0.5% global prevalence capabilities, validated during the 2024 H5N1 outbreak with 98% entropy match accuracy. A novel blockchain-enabled audit built on Hedera Hashgraph ensures real-time compliance tracking across over 140 regulatory jurisdictions, slashing tech transfer documentation time by 79% compared to the World Health Organization's pre-2023 paper-based systems. Now, I agree with Ryan's assessment that it looks like this is being used over 140 different countries, so that in itself is pretty huge. But what really kind of jumps out to me on this is I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't get information from the Hedera Foundation on this, or the Hashgraph group, Hashgraph, or anything else. So it seems like this could be, and I'm not 100% sure, this could be completely organic. And who knows how many transactions this could actually provide, how much revenue this could provide. But when we start to see that organic traction, that's when things can really turn up, because it can be the volume of these kinds of use cases that could add up and really have an impact on Hedera.
Now, you guys just saw that. That was an article that was put out. It was put out very low key. Really, none of us even knew about it up until about a week or so ago. Truly see what Hedera has going on. Truly understand that most people who even read that article have no clue who Hedera Hashgraph is. I promise you on this, okay? So for y'all to be tuning into this video right now in 2025, seeing the infrastructure that Hedera is building out, y'all, this man, the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years is gonna be stupid in the realm of Web3. Like, for real, y'all. It's going to be a ride that I don't think any of us is quite ready for, but all of us truly won't. It's going to truly be that value, that use case, that true scalability of retail in so many different ways flowing through these networks, okay, you guys? But now we getting ready to go to Hedera and Swift. Yes, that Swift, that messaging standard that 11,000 different banks tap into around the world, Swift, okay? We've already tied, Hedera to Swift in a couple different videos, but there was an announcement made by Swift talking about the onboarding of DLT and what are the criteria for that to be a reality. And truly see that he was basically describing Hashgraph. He was describing Hedera and of course Quant, because we already know the programmability and the scalability and the interoperability. It's Quant Network. Okay, but we also know Hedera scales like crazy. Hedera does what I want to say throttle 10,000 transactions per second, which is insane. And to know that it can go all the way up to 100,000 and then to infinity once you throw in the hash spheres, like truly see what's being laid out right now. Okay, you guys. But here we go. This video comes from my boy Brandon at HBARBULL going over this new Swift announcement, and I will be right back.
Of places where Swift has crossed paths with Hedera over the past year. From Alyssa DiCaprio speaking at HederaCon to Hedera presenting at Sibos just last week. Well, now there was a post made on LinkedIn this week from the Swift Chief Information Officer that caught my eye. I suggest reading the whole thing, but here's some highlights. He says, now we're here in 2025 and public open blockchains are becoming too big for finance to ignore. Tokenized treasuries, collateral on chain, cross-border payments that actually settle. The shift is real, but here's what most people are getting wrong. They think the public blockchain itself is the solution. It isn't. It's the raw execution, deterministic code, global scale and uptime, and the programmable rails. Powerful? Yes. But without legal enforceability, compliance, and privacy, it's just a fast engine with no cockpit. Public blockchains play that role in finance. They're the foundation layer, the soil, the concrete slab, the raw operating environment. They give you a place to run code, to issue tokens, to move value, but like any raw foundation, they don't dictate the rules of the house, the safety standards, or the governance of the city it sits in. That all has to be layered on top if institutions are going to trust it. So if you're a builder, operator, or policymaker in this space, here's my advice. Don't fight the public blockchains, harness them. They're the innovation lab the world is already coding on. Build with compliance in mind from day one. Solve for privacy without killing transparency. That's where the opportunity lies, and that's why the next wave won't look like crypto-native networks trying to replace finance. It'll look like finance absorbing the best public chains on its own terms. This all aligns so perfectly with Hedera's vision. It also explains why there was a delay. All of that infrastructure, all of those rules, all of that regulation was not put in place yet, and that's why these enterprises and institutions haven't really used it yet, but it is coming. He's talking about an inflection point, and this is the inflection point that Hedera has been preparing for since day one. We really couldn't be placed any better, and I think we're going to excel here in the months and years to come.
Now, you guys just saw that announcement. When you have a player that is tied already to global financial infrastructure, making statements like that, it is time to stand up, pay attention, open up your eyes, open up your ears, and then start acting accordingly. Okay, you guys, especially when you already see that they've coupled themselves with places, people like a Quant, with people like a Link, and a XRP and Hedera. Understand truly what these huge entities, and I know I say things like that, and maybe sometimes that weight doesn't lie on the shoulders, but truly huge entities. Like when you start having countries, economies, when you start having millions, billions, and trillions and quadrillions of dollars flowing through you, and you're now talking about the tokenization process and bringing these processes onto your everyday back end, things like payroll and supply chain. These things matter, y'all. And to know the entities that are right there providing infrastructure is incredible, because most people that are going to be utilizing these services coming from all of these major entities globally will have no clue about the infrastructure. They will just be doing what they have been doing normally, which is just utilizing these companies and these people, basically technologies, like they always do. That's why the thing like Quant and Oracle is so major. Think about how many people use Oracle every single day. And to know that they are now touching and coupling themselves with QNT and Overledger indirectly and have no clue. All thing they're going to do is they're going to buy Oracle's package. And a part of that package is going to be Overledger's fee. Truly see how this is going to work out. Same thing with Hedera. That these companies, like with PricewaterhouseCoopers, are going to be continuously, renewing whatever licenses or whatever structure or package or contract they have with them, without knowing that now, along with that renewal, is going to be Hedera's hashgraph fee. Like, these things are going to be built into the infrastructure of it all. And to know the players that are facilitating this infrastructure is insane, you guys. I'm telling y'all, if y'all are tuning in, I hate to say this cheesy phrase, but you really are looking at a piece of the new 1%. And I don't mean like 1% is, you're going to have billions and trillions of dollars. What I mean by 1% of the world is getting ready to go through very tough economic times. We probably are getting ready to go through a global depression. And there's only going to be a small subsection of the economy that depression doesn't affect. And if you're positioning yourselves with the infrastructure of the rails that people have to use, regardless of what the economy is looking like or doing, you have no choice but to rise. That asset will rise as the utilization of that asset happens. Even if we go through this depression that I am foreseeing, and they're going to implement stable coins, tokenized deposits, and CBDCs, depending on where you sit in the world. And to know that once you get that paycheck, or if you're getting some type of government stimulus or whatever the case may be, the minting of those coins are happening on the ledgers that we talk about, these ISO gems. Truly see the infrastructure of what's being laid out. And you don't want to be a part of that huge part of the global economy that these next few years are going to crush. I'm sorry to say it, but we have printed way too much money globally over the last 5 years. It is completely unsustainable, and it's backed by nothing in almost every case when it comes to these central banks. Truly see, that's the reason why the Stablecoin Act here in America is going to be the savior of the debt crisis, because as more and more stablecoins are put out into the retail sphere, that's more and more U.S. treasuries being bought daily. Truly see how this Web3 is going to be the savior in some cases, but there's going to be some pain. And that is how they're going to implement the Web3 processes, is because after we go through all of this pain, they're going to say, hey, we have stimulus for you. Download this government digital ID, attach this digital wallet, and we're going to send you stimulus instantly. No waiting, because we know exactly who you are based off of the real ID system that we already had you in, that we now have tied into the digital ID system. Truly see what's happening right now. You have a player like a Hedera, literally providing infrastructure, minting stable coins. Have a player like a Quant, providing programmability and interoperability for all forms of money. And truly see how it's getting ready to flow through the retail sector starting end of 2026, going into 2027, 2028, because by 2030, they want global mass adoption of DLT in every facet imaginable, okay? Because it is a interoperable, immutable ledgering system. And at this point in time, the ledgering system of all ledgering systems we already know is Quant Network's Overledger, because it actually orchestrates all of the other ledgering systems into the same hemisphere. Okay, you guys, I truly appreciate you guys. I truly thank y'all, for real. You made it all the way through this entire video. Type in Swift, because that announcement from Swift, basically laying out the blueprint for adoption of DLT, is incredible, you guys. We are living in uncharted territories as far as the RAM and the onboarding and adoption of this technology. The technology that the retail front run the institutions on for the first time in human history. This ride is going to be bananas, okay? You made it all the way through this entire video. I appreciate y'all, okay? Till the next time, y'all already know. Peace out.